Welcome to this devotional entitled Access to Grace. I'm your host, Pastor Stephen Bundi. The book of Romans chapter 5 verse 2 states, "Through him we have also obtained access by faith into this grace in which we stand, and we rejoice in hope of the glory of God." Access to what? Access to grace. Access that comes through faith in Jesus Christ. Now, according to the Bible, grace is the unmerited favor of God. We find that in Ephesians 2, verse 8 to 9. This means that it is something we cannot earn, only accept. The larger context of this verse speaks of how we could not be justified by our own works, but that through Christ's finished work on the cross, we may be justified and have access to grace. This means that through the grace of God, there are some possibilities that we may rejoice in and be thankful for, even amidst the troubles of life. We have hope that our suffering can lead to glory. That's what it says in Romans chapter 8, verse 18. So how do we practically access this grace today? Accessing grace comes through faith in Jesus Christ. Faith is trusting in God, according to Hebrews 11 verse 1. Accessing grace means that we trust in God's promise of salvation and rely on Him to lead us in our life's journey. Accessing grace means that we trust in God's goodness, even when things are hard and we don't understand why. Accessing grace means that we have faith in God's ability to turn our mess into a masterpiece, even when we can't see the bigger picture. Accessing grace means that we believe in God's plan for our lives, even when it seems impossible to see how it could be. This means that in order for us to truly experience the fullness of God's grace, we must come to Him in faith and accept His free gift of salvation. Access to grace not only means having the assurance of redemption and acceptance, but also the blessing of daily strength and peace that comes from trusting in God. However, we must also be careful to note that access to grace is not a license for sin. Access to grace does not give us a pass to do whatever we please, but encourages us to live righteously and walk in the light of God's truth. Access to grace means the power of God's love and provision to help us remain on the path of holiness, no matter what our current circumstances. Access to grace also means a deep assurance that no matter what happens in our lives, God is with us and will bring good out of even the dark times. The phrase "in which we stand" speaks of the ability or the stability we have in grace. It gives us the assurance that we can stand firmly in our faith, knowing that we are secure and loved by an all-powerful God who will never leave us or forsake us. We are assured that no matter what life throws at us, we can stand firm in the knowledge of God's grace and trust in the power of His plan. In today's world, we need to remember the power of access to grace and continue to stand and rejoice in hope of the glory of God. We can apply this concept of access to grace in our daily lives when faced with hardships. We must remember that Jesus is the source of grace and He will uphold us. In Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10, He says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." We can turn to God and ask for the grace to overcome our struggles. Accessing this grace is only possible with faith, which means that even when it seems impossible to make it through the difficulty, we must put our trust in God's promises and receive the grace that He offers to make the impossible possible. Thank you for watching, and you can follow me on www.prsteve.com. That's www.pastorsteve.com.